Hello, welcome to Power English for Foreign Execs. I'm Deanne. It's good to have you back if you've been here before, and welcome to new viewers who I hope will become new subscribers. I've been away for a while. We've been having in my area some power outages again, and so I had to wait for things to be reinstated. But nevertheless, I'm glad to be back. Today, we want to talk about, as the title says, U.S. presidential elections. Um, this year, we have, well, every year there are elections for many different political levels, but this year, every 4 years, we have in the United States US presidential elections. So more attention is being paid to that. And I thought of 10, only 10 uh, power words or phrases or really descriptors about US presidential elections that I think that foreign executives should know. And this channel is dedicated to those foreign execs who are working for American-based companies, either in their home country or in the United States where I am. So, and by the way, happy Easter. I've missed you for that. Anyway, oh yes, and another thing before we go into them, politics and religion are what we call taboo topics to talk about in conversation because they can bring up such heated debate. But nevertheless, I want you to be able to understand these words and to use them, but not about your co-workers' uh, personal politics or neither your personal politics. But you can use the discussion of politics as you read about them in the news, and that these are things that obviously would come up in conversation in your workplace. So uh, use the conversation of politics in general as a generic conversation, but not to bring up your personal opinions and or your coworkers' personal opinions, because then they become very heated. They could become heated conversations. So anyway, the first word, POTUS, 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 President of the United States. That's what POTUS means, President of the United States. It's an acronym abbreviation for President of the United States. Next one, the word candidate versus incumbent. Candidate versus incumbent. Candidate is the individual whose name is on a ballot that has been chosen by his or her political party to run against the incumbent. The incumbent is the person who is currently in the office of president. He is the office holder. So the candidate is running against the incumbent. That candidate is trying to become the incumbent in the future. All right. Next one. Political parties. Political parties. And this is really a lot of descriptions in here. In the United States, we have two political parties, the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The Republican Party can be symbolized, well, the two parties are symbolized as two different animals. The Republican Party is symbolized by the elephant, and the Democratic Party is symbolized by the donkey. Another major distinction is in colors. The Republican Party symbolic color is red. The Democratic Party's color symbolized as blue. So when you hear red state versus blue state, it means that of the 50 states in the United States, red states are seen as states where there are more registered Republicans in that state of registered voters. Blue states are states that are heavily and commonly known as blue states because there is a heavy population of Democrats. Okay, so you'll hear red states, blue states, and the population is this is that. The next phrase is swing. Swing states. Swing states. What's a swing state? It's also known as a battleground state. So a swing state or battleground state is where the amount of registered voters of Republicans, Democrats, their percentages are pretty close to each other. It's not necessarily 50%, 50%, but the percentages are both very high. So within each presidential election, the incumbent or the candidate campaigns very, very, very heavily in those swing states because you don't know where the states are going to swing, either to be more Republican or to be more Democrat. So we call those swing states. There's a lot more understanding about that too. And by the way, not every citizen is a voter, but all voters are citizens. Okay. To be a voter, one must register to vote. You have to register to vote. And part of the registration process is that as you register to vote, you can declare that you are either Republican, or you can declare on the form that you are Democrat. Or if you don't declare either one, then you're considered an independent. And you could be in a red state, blue state, or a swing state. Doesn't matter, you're still considered an independent. Yeah, so the next one, primary election versus a general election. In the primary election, several candidates from the Republican Party and several candidates from the incumbent party try to compete to become the only candidate for their political party to run for president. So several candidates can compete in the Republican primary, and several candidates can compete in the Democratic primary. And whoever wins becomes the one candidate for each political party. And by the way, as I talked about registered voters who have registered themselves as Republican or Democrat can vote in the primaries for these different candidates. but all registered voters can vote in the general election. The general election is that after all the primaries and campaigns are done, and only one person comes out the winner, so to speak, for each party, then these two people campaign all over the country to win the nomination to become president, and that's through the general election. So if you like what you're hearing, I invite you to subscribe. And if you are already a subscriber, I invite all of you to click the like button and make a comment, whether it's short or long. I really would love to hear what you have to say. And also if you want to make recommendations for future topics for this channel. Really appreciate that. YouTube appreciates it, and I appreciate it too, so that our video can go out to other viewers in the YouTube universe. I also wanted to say that I do have a career coaching consultancy, so any executives that need help navigating through the American workplace and how to face challenges dealing either with coworkers or help you be your own CEO of your own career development and progression, and how to deal with and understand nuances within the American workplace. I am here to talk with you. You can find my information in the description box below. So thank you for that. So let's continue. The next one is ballot versus absentee ballot. A ballot is a piece of paper or an electronic device that lists all the candidates for either the primary election and then also for the general election. Okay. The absentee ballot is the ballot that is used by registered voters to complete their selection of the names on these ballots if they're unable to vote on the day off the primary election or on the day off the general election. So if you're also, I guess, in the military, or you are an expat. Expat is the name for Americans who are working abroad but still want to vote. See, all those votes have to be counted in before the day of the primary election, the day of not the primary election, the day of the general election, because if you wait until then to then get all the absentee ballots, it becomes very unwieldy for just that day to count all the ballots. So if you are homebound, for example, but still want to be in the democratic process of voting for candidates, you can also do an absentee ballot before the day of the election. All right. A write-in candidate, W-R-I-T-E, a write-in candidate is a candidate that you want to be included in the election, and you then actually write in the name of the candidate. Some people, I think it's funny, some people write in the name of an animation character, or some people may write in their family member's name, or what you are allowed to write it in. I don't know how many people will vote for that. I don't know. But if they haven't gone through that process of campaigning and letting their names be known and what their views are in an national way. I don't know why, but you still are allowed to use it as a write-in candidate. Inauguration. Um, Inauguration Day is January 20th of the following year that you are elected. Of the two candidates that that campaign, and you vote, and then one person becomes the candidate for president. This year, it will be November 5th is election day for the general presidential election. So who wins on that day then is elected as president, but they must participate in the official ceremony of being sworn in. And that official ceremony is January 20th. So by January 20th at 12 noon, January 20th at 12 noon, that person is then the president for the next 4 years. Yeah. So political action committee or committees, political action committees. We call them PAC, or if it's more than one PAC that we're talking about, they're called PACs. PAC, Political Action Committees, or committees, plural. And political action committees are those organizations that raise monies so that the candidates can campaign across the country through advertisements or in person, or they campaign to tell what they're planning to do if they become president, or what the incumbent may plan to do if he is then re-elected. The monies go to that. The monies go to travel also, for across the country. And it's usually run by campaign or political strategizers, people whose skill is in making sure their candidate looks good in every way possible. So you can put in your campaigns with these political action committees, tell what you can do, but you're also going to say, well, you are better than the other candidate. Okay. And then the next one is called exit poll. Exit poll. And usually that's really what it is. It's a survey taken off registered voters as they leave the area where they just went to vote at a polling station. I know over the years, my polling stations, depending on where I lived in my district, was either I would vote at a local high school or elementary school, whatever public buildings were available where there was a lot of parking, so that registered voters can come in and quickly vote on their ballots and then come out. And then when you come out, there are people that will ask you, well, whom did you vote for and why? And if you want to tell them. So this survey is taken to get a really good idea before the final numbers are taken, or the final ballots are counted, of how people felt about candidate this or candidate that. So it's the survey is usually taken as you exit the polling station, and the polling station can be just buildings that are used temporarily just for that day. My current polling station is my Which one? It's a fire station down the road. It's within, yeah, it's within walking distance. It's at the fire station down the road, and it's open that day for primary election voting and also for, yeah, general election voting too. So that's it in a nutshell. I thank you for staying with me. If you really like this was fun to do. If you really like this and wanted to hear more or more about voting, more about US presidential elections or anything else, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe and click on the like button. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I will see you soon. Keep my fingers crossed that the power outages are going to be no more, no more, no more. Anyway, thank you. Take care. Have a good week. Bye-bye.